Yes, you read this correctly. Is Naruto the Messiah? You see, the term Messiah is usually associated with a savior. The term itself comes from a Hebrew word meaning the anointed one or the chosen one. So does Naruto fit that role? Well, the obvious answer is yes. He definitely fits that role. And I feel like it's the evolution of his character that caused this massive rift in the Naruto fanbase that is present to this day. How Naruto went from what many labeled as an underdog, he wasn't, by the way, that was Rock Lee, but anyways, from this underdog kid to essentially Ninja Jesus, the chosen one, the savior, literally called the child of prophecy. A lot of Naruto fans like the idea that Naruto was just an average kid surpassing all odds with hard work and determination, but that honestly never was the case. Remember that the Nine Tails was sealed pretty tightly in part 1, so it was always implied that he'd get substantially stronger. And even if Naruto thinks that he's an underdog, like, what does Naruto know? He can't see the future. He didn't even know that the Nine Tails was sealed within him until Mizuki told him. So yeah, it was never really an underdog story. Going back to the title, is Naruto the Messiah? Well, to put it simply, yes, basically. At least in his respective verse. He's both a messiah in terms of being a savior and being born out of a prophecy. It may not be evident in part 1, but we didn't really know much about Naruto's backstory in the first place. All we knew is that the nine-tailed fox was sealed inside him by the 4th Hokage, who was likely his dad. So you see, we can't solely judge Naruto from part 1. There's so much we don't know about him. Why would the 4th Hokage seal the Nine Tails within his presumed son? That's when the prophecy comes into play. If we were to go back to when the masked man attacked the village and left the 4th Hokage to deal with the Nine Tails, Kushina offered to take the Nine Tails out with her, but Minato couldn't risk disrupting the Bijou balance. He decided to take a gamble with his son. He believed that the masked man was gonna be a threat in the future, so he decided to entrust this child with the Nine Tails in hopes that he could learn how to master its powers, and then be able to stop the looming threat of the man behind the mask. Minato's actions put the prophecy in motion. Of course, we couldn't know that in part 1, since we don't really know anything about Naruto's background. But him having the Nine Tails did always imply that he was gonna get absurdly stronger eventually. Minato was pretty spot on, and predicted the course of the series basically. The prophecy would come to fruition during the war arc, when Naruto and Kurama linked together fully for the first time, and together they'd manage to defeat the tailed beasts being controlled by Obito. Naruto was also part of another prophecy. Amidst the battle, Naruto is transported to the Jinchuriki Psyche plane, where he meets the tailed beasts, and they're all willing to give Naruto their chakra on a request from the Four Tails, who had done the same earlier. The Four Tails, Son Goku, saw Naruto as the chosen one, part of the prophecy told to all the Bijou by the sage. That eventually there was gonna come a time when all the tailed beasts will be united again, each with a different form than before, and they will be led properly. This is what has caused a lot of people in the fanbase to believe that Naruto was the reincarnation of the Sage of the Six Paths. Of course, later it's clarified that he's actually the reincarnate of the Sage's son, and I mean, Ashura did inherit his father's body and powers. He was chosen as his successor and resembled Hagoromo quite a bit, so it makes sense. Plus, the original manga panel, Kurama says Naruto's the old man's ... So it could be the old man's prophecy. Going back, if you think about it in a way, Naruto just had a prophecy within a prophecy. We get to see the payoff for all the Bijou giving Naruto their chakra when Naruto was able to use it to connect to and tug at their Bijou chakra inside the Ten Tails, which is how he was able to extract them from Obito. And just like the 4th Hokage foresaw, with the help of the Nine Tails he was able to defeat the masked man. So by that point in the story, Naruto had transcended past being just a mere human. He was the savior. And even before he had this godly power at his disposal, he was always implied to be very inspirational and a savior-like figure, someone that changes the people he comes across. Kakashi said that Naruto possessed a special power, the power to draw people to him. He was also very sympathetic and could acknowledge others' emotions. When Iruka Sensei stood up for Naruto and acknowledged his suffering, it was Iruka's kindness that prevented Naruto from going down a similar path as Gaara. That moment changed Naruto. It's when he learned compassion, or the Talk no Jutsu, and Naruto would go on to use that trick all the time. Example, when Naruto managed to move the ninja tool Zabuza to tears over his partner's death, is when that first trait comes to light. He managed to move Zabuza, the demon of the mist, and Zabuza even turned on Gato and killed him. And that's just the first victim. Naruto is also able to inspire change in both Neji and Tsunade, pretty drastic change too. With Neji, he was able to humble him by defeating him, and afterwards Neji's demeanor towards Hinata changed completely. He was able to pull a complete 180 on Tsunade, someone that had essentially given up on the shinobi world and spent her entire time drinking and gambling. But Naruto's power to change people works on her better than anyone yet. He literally makes her go from the Hokage's a fool's errand to I'm the 5th Hokage of the Leaf Village. Naruto mirrored the ideals that Tsunade's brother and lover stood for, and shortly afterwards, she became a hardcore believer in Naruto and bet on him at every turn. And that's not even bringing up all the good that Naruto did for the Sand Village. He was able to do what they weren't able to for ages. He changed Gaara by understanding his pain and showing him compassion even though he was his enemy. Gaara left the Sand Village a homicidal maniac and came back peaceful, seeking the acknowledgement and respect of the villagers he once sought to destroy. After Naruto transformed him, Gaara stopped having those rampages as the Shukaku. And even when we fast forward to Shippuden during the Kazekage rescue arc, we see Naruto have the same effect on Chiyo of the Sand. Being from an older generation, she was stuck in her cynical ways, and was embarrassed to hear that the Sand was relying on the Leaf Village's assistance. But after she met Naruto, she too changed. She saw Naruto go further for Gaara than any Sand ninja did, even though he wasn't from the same village. That moved Chiyo, and it's what made her give her life to rescue Gaara. According to Tamari, Chiyo wasn't the kind to do something like that. It was Naruto's ability to change people for the better that led her to sacrifice her own life to save the Kazekage. That's a quality that is essential for a messiah. Naruto even managed to change Sai, someone that's been brought up with the Foundation's conditioning and emotion-killing practices. People in the Foundation are raised to become ninja tools, like Zabuza. But just like how he was able to get to Zabuza, Naruto managed to get a genuine smile out of Sai. And he changed him so much that Sai went from trying to assassinate Sasuke on Danzo's orders to trying to restrain him and bring him back to the village in order to rescue his bond with Naruto. Naruto's sympathetic qualities reminded Sai of his late brother, just like how he reminded Tsunade of hers. However, most of the people I talked about were just not set in the right paths. They weren't actively villains. But Naruto's also able to change individuals in the lowest depths of despair, most notably Nagato, Obito, and Sasuke. You know that Naruto at first was discouraged from speaking to Nagato by Inoichi, who believed that pain was simply unforgivable. But it was Naruto speaking with him that resulted in Nagato reviving all those he killed during the assault with the Rinne rebirth. Naruto's sympathetic nature and his ability to forgive, plus the obvious connect between the two, the fact that they're both sibling students, that led Nagato to believe in Naruto, and it was also eye-opening for Naruto, as it was the first time he experienced loss and could relate to Sasuke, but Naruto chose forgiveness, very Messiah-like if you ask me. Naruto's biggest challenge yet would be Obito and Sasuke, but by the time he was ready to face the both of them, he'd become a different person. and he was reaching the climax of his story as the Messiah. After he faced and changed pain, after he met his parents, learned how to confront the negativity within himself, and in turn the hatred within Kurama as well, Naruto had become enlightened. He was finally ready to fulfill the prophecy and defeat the masked man. And when Obito absorbed the Jubi and gained abilities beyond Naruto's grasp, Naruto used advice given to him by Itachi, teamwork and unity and seeking help of others. Because it was the combined strength of the allied shinobi force that managed to rip the 10 tails out of Obito. That combined with Naruto's resemblance to the younger Obito, an identity that he suppressed for a long time. Naruto resembled an Obito that hadn't failed. That's why Obito resisted Naruto so much. To acknowledge him was to acknowledge that the path he chose, along with all the killings he committed in the process, was not the only ways to achieve peace. And while that thought frustrated Obito, it's also what added fuel to the flame of Obito's doubt and regret. Naruto didn't even blame Obito for the death of his parents or all he'd done. I mean, he did at first, but as he grew, he realized that everything happened for a reason. That he wouldn't have become the savior of this world or the child of prophecy if it weren't for Obito's actions. Only someone enlightened would be able to think that way. That's why when Obito turns on Madara and helps Team 7, Naruto said that Obito was nothing but awesome. Obito had changed, and Naruto recognized that. He wasn't gonna hold his old actions against him when Obito was actively working to change. That level of pettiness was beneath someone like Naruto at that point. Obito repented, and as far as Naruto was concerned, that was enough. Naruto was almost like a divine being at that point. That was when the 4th Hokage's prophecy came to fruition, and that's not even addressing the great Elder Sage Toad's prophecies. The first one was that one of Jiraiya's students, the Child of Prophecy, would bring about a great change, either great stability or disaster, the likes of which have never been seen before. Now that could apply to either Naruto or Nagato, because as we know, it was Naruto basically ending all wars that led to great stability, at least until the Boruto times, I guess. However, the Elder Sage had a more recent prophecy for Naruto. He was first to meet an octopus, referring to the 8 tails, and then he was gonna face a lad whose powers lie in his eyes. Now I guess technically that could have been referring to either Sasuke or Obito, or even Madara, but Naruto interprets it to mean Sasuke, so that's the interpretation I'll take too. This is the confrontation that Naruto's been waiting for since the 5 Kage summit, but Naruto had changed from then. He learned how to harness the power of the 9 tails, learned valuable lessons from people he formerly deemed as his enemies like Nagato or Obito. By this point, Naruto developed a routine to deal with individuals consumed by despair, the infamous Talk no Jutsu, and he was just gonna have to apply that to Sasuke. So going back to the question posed in the beginning, is Naruto the Messiah? Well, in all honesty, yes, 100%. He's the chosen one, the savior. He was literally involved in 3 separate prophecies. He reformed the world's biggest terrorists. He can even walk on water. And at the end of the 4th war, everyone from all over the ninja world came to the Leaf Village to pay tribute to Naruto, the GOAT. So yeah, Naruto's just him. I know that a lot of people don't like this transition into the prophet-like figure, but it was set up earlier than people realize. Part 1 was just fake. There was nothing in the story that said that he wasn't a prophet or wasn't meant to be a messiah-like figure. But anyways, it was an obvious phenomenon that I didn't see anyone tackle, so I figured, why not?